Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second ABI Info Series. Before we begin, I just want to take a moment to say a big thank you to the PIA, our platinum sponsors. Without them, we would not be able to do any of this work. I'm so happy to be able to introduce tonight Lara, who is presenting the PIA tonight. Lara completed her undergraduate degree at the University of Toronto in Ethics, Society and Law, and International Relations. She obtained her Juris Doctor and Masters of Public Administration at Queen's University, and also completed the International Business Law program at the Bader International Studies Centre in England. Lara was called to the bar in 2013. Lara joined Oatley Vigmond after practicing insurance defense at a leading international firm. The experience of representing many of Canada's largest insurers has provided Lara with valuable insight into personal injury claims, allowing her to better serve her clients. Lara's practice focuses solely on personal injury law, including motor vehicle accidents, accident benefits, medical malpractice, occupier's liability, and product liability cases. For Lara, the most rewarding aspect of her work is helping clients achieve the best possible outcomes. When Lara is not practicing personal injury, she enjoys traveling, spending time outdoors, and amateur scuba diving. Lara is also a member of the Advocate Society, the Simcoe County Young Professionals Association, and the Medico Legal Society of Toronto. Lara, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Melissa. And I now realize that the interest section of my bio is about a year out of date because I have not been traveling, diving, anything outdoors since February 2020. So much more interesting though, because otherwise I think the intro would be about redecorating a small condo and spending time with a puppy.
Yeah.
Without further ado, I'm happy to introduce Lara Bellon. Lara has been providing services for individuals with acquired brain injury since 2002 in both the public and private sectors. She's passionately helped individuals with multiple physical, cognitive, and psychological needs to navigate the healthcare system and rehabilitation world. Lara comes to BIST with a background in sociology and education, with certificates in crisis supports, errorless learning, and occupational health and safety. Her experience with individuals in the community and within residential programs in the Greater Toronto Area has helped those living with the effects of an ABI to work towards their goals to lead healthier, happier, and more fulfilling lives. And Lara, now the floor is yours.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. Hopefully, I'm able to give you a few tips and a few resources this evening, or how to find some resources in the area in which you live so that you can use it to navigate from now until whenever you need it. We've put together a slideshow, a PowerPoint of those bits of information so that you can look at it. So I'm just going to share my screen now and start the slideshow. So I hope I do this right. I hope it works. So give me a moment. Okay, can everyone see that there? Okay, and everyone can hear me? Yeah, okay. If there are any questions, it'll be hard for me to answer them as we go along. However, if you are able to put it in the chat, then Melissa Forrest, who is with us this evening, our programs coordinator, will be able to look at it, and I'll review the questions and try to answer them as best as possible at the end. Okay, so do keep in mind that technology is great, but but I'm trying to look at the webinar at the same time. So if you do have questions, please feel free to ask. and we will spend a little bit of time at the end, okay? So the presentation tonight is on community healthcare and financial resources. My name is Lara Bellon, and I'm the community coordinator at BIST, okay? So basically, this is a help session, help on resources in the Toronto area. Something that's been very difficult and ever changing in this last year. Resources that we were used to seeing and accessing, whether it be in person or by telephone. A lot of things have changed. And it's an ever-changing process. So what we're finding is something might be open one week and then close the next, which is really throwing a lot of people for a loop. So hopefully tonight, what I can do is provide you with ways to get around that and ways to find resources that you might have lost connections with, okay? So who am I? So I am a community coordinator. The position was started about 3 years ago. So up until 3 years ago, BIST didn't have someone specific to this role. So it's nice for them to be able to have that in Toronto. Of course, BIST has been operating for years, a lot of support groups. However, the staff in the office were on a part-time basis. So being able to access grants and the funds from law firms like Oatley Vigmond has been able to open up some of these positions and that, okay? So what I do is I do help people within the community access resources, help set up technology for them, help them navigate the technology, learn how to use it. I help with finding resources specific to where they live, and helping them advocate with community partners. So if people need help calling workers or housing or shelters or food banks, things like that, I would be on the phone with them. With their permission, I would call places on their behalf to seek out information and try to problem solve. And that's been amplified during this pandemic because everything seems to be on the phone as opposed to in person. So a lot of the supports and resources that people, or the avenues that people are used to going through, don't exist. So there's a lot of just time spent on my behalf on the phone for people, finding those new resources. Biggest question: who's open? Who's open? Who's providing supports? Who do I call? Where do I go to? So of course, the landscape is ever changing, but there's ways that we can sort it out. If anyone is ever having difficulty doing that, that's what we're here for. So you can call into BIST if you don't have access to technology. And I know people that are on this webinar tonight would, the obvious bit of bit of information is if you're able to access this, you're on some sort of technology. But this is being recorded for future. So what we're saying to anyone is that if you do need support or help, we're able to ask. You're able to ask, call in and ask, email, ask, and we'll be able to figure out who to send the question to and who can look up the resources, okay? A lot of times when we look at websites or looking up how to access resources, we get stuck in the internet itself, trying to figure out where to go. And a lot of databases are not connected. A lot of the searches we do are individual searches. However, with Ontario and with Toronto, we do have a lot of time spent in the last 5 to 10 years where they've amalgamated information sources, which is great for us. It's great for providers. It's great for consumers. And there's a few places that we can go. I've put in hyperlinks into this. However, if there's something, say you're writing it down or can't, if you're able to take a screenshot or a picture of it, you can. Or if you just want to write down and we can verbalize it later to you if it's hard to read. We can do that just to make sure you get the information. A lot of, like I've said, a lot of the resources we see don't exist anymore because they've either shut down or can't provide the service. They don't have the staffing. They can't do community support. So, but then with COVID, a lot of different resources have opened up. There's a lot of people that had decided that they were going to provide community support, like volunteer basis, or start something because they saw a need, which is great. We've had a really good responsive community of support in Toronto. So the places that we go to find information is basically 211 Ontario or 211 Toronto. And I've provided the hyperlink there. I've provided the call numbers, toll-free number. There's one for visually impaired. What this is, and I'll show you some screenshots later so that you know what it looks like, and we'll see if I can get onto the site itself, come off the web, like the PowerPoint here, and maybe walk you through the site. This is a really helpful resource simply because providers update their supports and let 211 know whether they're operating or not. The other thing is, if you're having difficulty navigating, say, the internet, you can call 211 Toronto or 211 Ontario, and what they'll do is they'll help you do the search, right? So you can talk to a live person, which is always nice, and they'll ask you, okay, so what would you like support with? And you can say, I need support with food banks or food delivery services. That's a big thing when people can't get out and about. I need help with shelter. I need help with finding hospitals, or where do I go for COVID testing, things like that. And they'll be able to take a look at the area in which you live. You'd provide a rough area. You would provide information like how many kilometers you're able to travel. And then they would do a search for you, and they would help you narrow your search. So something that I like to use as an example is food. So if someone's looking for a food bank, they would help you find something in your area. If you are looking for food delivery service, they would find something in your area. If you're looking for someone to, say you've purchased your groceries, but you need someone to pick it up, they would direct you to volunteers that do that. So this is really neat, and it's in real time in the sense that they're showing services that are open. One thing though, that, I mean, no one can help this because it is a pandemic, is that because zones in Ontario changing almost week to week, from lockdown setting, gray zone, red zone, is that they will give you the resources and they'll say, please do call them just to make sure. And that's reasonable, I think. So that's a big go-to there. The other piece to actually look at is the COVID-19 Ontario website. And that is showing what's happening in Ontario, what the rules are with the pandemic. So that's important too, because that kind of dictates what resources are open for people, right? So that's there for people that need it. If we move on, I've put in the healthcare numbers. And I understand that not everyone is typically in the Toronto downtown core, but people might be on the outskirts accessing this webinar series at a later date. So I've included some of the health numbers in the surrounding area. We do have people that are accessing BIST that are from Mississauga, or maybe on the York region border, things like that, or in the Scarborough-Durham border. So those are the health numbers. There is the hyperlink for the Health Government of Ontario, where you can search for your city in the different LHINs areas, and see the health numbers. But I put it on a nice page for everyone. Sometimes navigating those websites are not most fun or easy. So I've put it there for people if they need it. And of course, public health, when you call, like anything, sometimes there's a little bit of a wait and you have to navigate the call system, but they're there. The numbers are there for you. Still to this date, and this was like, I check this regularly because it affects a lot of our members that are going out in the community with their health cards. If you are someone that requires COVID testing, they ask you to bring your health card, but they will still assess you without it. And the point of that is to encourage people to, if they feel that they have it or think that they've been exposed, to get tested without worrying about not having a valid OHIP card. Just a little tidbit on what we've experienced with members and health cards. We've had a little bit of an issue with doctor's appointments with people and having expired health cards and being told by the Ministry of Health that they don't need to renew right now because of the pandemic, and then getting rejected at the doctor's office simply because the two systems aren't meeting up and talking to each other. So what we're suggesting to people is, for general health visits, like with doctors and that, you probably should have an updated health card. But for COVID testing, you do not need to bring it. So that's just something, a little tidbit of information. If you require support in renewing your health card because you're finding it difficult, you're worried about going to Service Ontario in person, that is something that we have been helping people with, getting them connected, setting up. One of the things that's come out of this is that you can set up appointments at Service Ontario, which is nice. You don't have to wait in lines. Or some things can be done online or over the phone, depending on your situation. So I just wanted to kind of give the heads up on that. Okay. We're here to help. So if there's a general question someone has about healthcare access or the COVID-19, even if we don't know the answer offhand, we'll be able to hunt down the answer, look it up for you, and get back to you with that tidbit. Okay. So community resources. I spoke briefly about 211 as a phone number, as a website, something that provides live chat throughout the week. Some other resources that we go to often, and especially during the pandemic, is CONNEXONTARIO. This resource is a broad resource. It is for mental health and it is for substance use. So people that require support, whether it be rehab or support groups, things like that, they have that there. So it works as a website, it works as a telephone number, and it works as a live chat. Like 211, this resource also has someone who can help you navigate what's available in the province, which is great. As a provider, I've called many times with questions for members or persons in the community, saying what's open. And I would give the scenario of the person's needs, and they would say, okay, this is who you need to call first. This is who you can connect with second. This is what you need to do thirdly to get the person support. So whether it's talk therapy, whether it's inpatient mental health, whether it's immediate detox, whether it's outpatient supports, whether it's community groups that they can join, they're there. What they also do for providers or for persons is they look at, if it's an inpatient program, they'll help you look at how long the wait times are. If it's inpatient where it's a bed, resource within a hospital or a setting for addictions, they'll say, okay, there's a 10-day wait, a 30-day wait, a 60-day wait, which is really nice because people can kind of plan or try to plan. They also can look at different areas within the province. So if someone is able to travel, they can look at certain resources too. I've called as a provider. I know I've supported clients in calling to find out the information. We've done a 3-way call, and it's also there for members of a family or a support, someone's circle of care to call as well. So you would just identify yourself as what type of person you are, whether it's for a service for yourself or you're providing service, and they would help you out. Okay. The other one that's good too, and it's again another database. So 211 is a database, but with live connections to people. CONNEXONTARIO is a database also with live connects to people. Then there's LHIN, and LHIN looks at all the information about resources, community supports, groups, nonprofits that are across the province related to the LHINs, which is the Local Health Integrated Network. Okay, so Toronto is in one, they're set out throughout the province, and we'll look at that in further detail. They do have a number. I've provided the Toronto one. Each area has a separate number. So you'd have, if you're in York Region, or if you're in Peel, or if you're in Durham, it would be a different number. Okay, and then you could again talk to someone. Talk to them about the resources that you're looking for. Okay, so what I've done is taken a screenshot of what you would see if you were actually going onto these websites, because I can talk a lot, but if you don't know what you're looking at, it's not going to do you any good. So one of the great things with 211 is the sites are not overwhelming. They keep it pretty basic. I know screen time can be frustrating, and navigating web pages can be frustrating if they're busy and there's a lot going on. Sometimes we don't see it right away. I know I have difficulty finding something the first time. It takes me a while. But here with 211, whether you're on the Toronto one or going for the provincial one, you type in your address. It can be specific just to a city, or you can actually put in a more specific address location, and then you can do a search by topic, and they have a drop down of all different things. Are you looking for transportation supports? Are you looking for shelter supports? Are you looking for legal supports, right? And healthcare supports, and it would show you. Okay. I just want to show you a few things here. This is what the topics look like. So I went on, again, I flipped it. Instead of staying on the Toronto one, I went to the Ontario 211. Same thing, they have it very simply laid out. So you'll see a button for calling, emailing, or live chat. And I've taken a screenshot of the topics. So they categorize it for you. So you can type in yourself what you're looking for, and it'll give you a search, or you can do it this way and scroll through. So you can see that they do have quite an extensive list. So again, if you're looking for emergency crisis services, disability, government legal, that's usually looking at legal aid and criminal law matters, things like that. Healthcare, whether it has a section for older adults, so like senior supports, okay? LGBTQ plus, Indigenous, it's all in there, so you can see. The other great thing is too, they offer support in multiple languages. I believe if my memory serves me, it's about 150 languages, 150 languages that they offer support in, which is great. Now, what those languages are, I don't know. How long you might have to wait to get someone if they don't have them working that shift to call you back, another question. But again, that's something that we can help navigate if someone was stuck, right? And we've supported lots of community members where English is not their first language. English is mine, but I've helped numerous people in multiple languages, and we figure it out, right? We figure it out. There's what the Connects Ontario will look like currently, okay? So again, they've set it up nicely where they have the green button for calling us, and if you click on that, it shows you the numbers. If you want to do a chat right on your computer, right live right then and there, you do that. Or if you want to send an email and get a response back in a day or so, then they do it that way, okay? And again, this is for mental health, addiction, and they have gambling in there, gambling services. Okay. Another support, and I showed this last year because I really like the way this is set up. It's set up in how we would think about supports as opposed to just categories. This is for mental health, and I thought it was great for all of us to look at, especially during a pandemic when we're going up to a full year of being in this. So, and this has been more prevalent than anything else, where people are saying, "Oh my goodness, this is a real thing. Mental health is a real thing," right? But we've used this connection tool to help people find resources. Okay, so if you look at the categories, it helps you kind of figure out where you stand in the kind of support you want, right? So do I need someone to talk to? I don't know what's wrong. I need help figuring it out, what's bothering me. That's a great way of describing something. I'm in crisis. So if you click on these topics, it'll bring a drop-down list of numbers in your area, whether it's crisis lines, helplines, things like that. Okay, so it also sections it whether you're the person requiring help, whether you're a caregiver or someone in a circle of care that's looking for help, whether you're in crisis or whether it's for talk therapy supports. Okay, so this is a neat one. Not a lot of people know about this one, so I always kind of bring it up, and it's still functioning, right? I go back through the resources and make sure things are still working when I do these presentations. Okay, so again, I picked a drop down. I need someone I need to talk to someone, and this is sort of what you'll see, the lists, right? It actually shows you Connects Ontario, which is great because they know it's a live support where you're going to get someone. You know. There's eMental Health, the Canadian Mental Health Association. Those are generally for some of the other areas in Ontario. Kids Help Phone's on there. And it gives you links for if you're looking for talk therapy. So whether that's social work, psychotherapy, or a psychologist, okay? They do have an online support big white wall that's open to people. And again, it brings you back down to 211 Ontario. I can't stress enough, 211 Ontario is like the big hub, the big go-to to resource access. So in crisis. So these are some of the lines that it's giving you. I've expanded it to Canada, I mean, there's differing levels. So you can do local, you can do Ontario, and you can do Canada. But I just wanted to show you what's in there. So see, these are some of the things that's there. Okay. And then, you know, you can go, there's a bunch of different avenues you can look at with that. Okay. I do want to try to stop sharing this for a second, just to do a quick search. And I think, I know I've talked about 2-on-1, but I think to navigate it in real time might be a little bit helpful, maybe, for people. So I'm going to stop sharing that for a quick second. And I'm going to try to reshare with you looking at the actual 2-1-1. So once I get this back up, I'm going to press share screen again. And you are going to see, does that work? Did it work? Yeah, okay, perfect. Thanks for the thumbs up. I can't hear otherwise. Okay, so this is 2-1-1 Central. This would be the Toronto area, okay? And again, it has the numbers on the side here. I'm just gonna see if I can expand this a bit more. Okay, it gives you some topics right off the hop, right? So it's all here. So there's pictures or words, okay? So by topic, or you can search by keywords. You can enter in a city. I'm gonna put Toronto, just because. And I'm gonna click on food, because this is the topic I like to look at. Okay, it's a big one, especially for people on budgets, or people with financial insecurities because of the pandemic. Okay, we do have, there's a list of subtopics. So it's specific to what your needs are. So if you're looking for food banks, there's a specific button for that. Again, some people are housebound, like wheelchair bound, have mobility or ambulation issues. We know that in the city with long lineups, people can't handle standing in a line for 20 minutes, 30 minutes to line up for the grocery store, let alone going through the grocery store, then lining up for cash out, right? So there are some programs, a lot of community volunteers that have set up sites and organized platforms to help with this problem. That's come up because of COVID. So you can look at that. Okay, there's food delivery. Some of it is done on a cost basis, so you're paying for the service. Some of them are free, so you'd have to look. Okay, there's also a community meals, and then for people that are looking for cooking classes, that's still there as well. There might be online services, right? Also, very important is if someone has dietary needs or changes to their diet for health reasons, there's access to supports that way. This is really neat, the grow and pick your own food. It's winter right now, but that might be something that people are interested in looking at. So there's the services there. Children, there's formula programs, which is great. And there's other initiatives here. Okay, so you could pick any of them. Maybe we go into access for seniors or persons with disabilities. Okay, and they're going to list the ones they have. Sometimes when you do a search, if you don't narrow it down, I've done searches there and I have 900 choices. So sometimes you have to look at what exactly you need. If it becomes daunting, my suggestion is to call and have them, by verbalizing your needs, narrow it down for you. But this is kind of neat. So say you wanted the delivery service here, because that's our food access for seniors or persons with disability. So these are some of the ones that are open right now. Okay, all different types of programs, and we've used many of them for people. They've so very different areas. So we had Etobicoke, Alexandra Park, Dixon Hall, Kensington. There's lots of places that are open up for these supports. So if we were, sorry for scrolling if it's bugging people, but I'm just going to pick the top one here, and it gives you the hours of operation, and it gives you a description on who's eligible in that and how to apply. Sometimes it's an online form, sometimes it's a phone call. Again, if a person is requiring help setting this up because it's too much to navigate, we've done this many times for people, for members that have called into BIST. This is something that, I mean, Melissa Forrest was doing it for several months in the summer, and we were happy that she was helping and finding these great resources. And we have a few students that are doing it now that are setting up multiple ones a week for members. So we're here to help if that's the case. Anyway, so that's what it looks like. Okay, and you can go back for a new search. Again, you just click and you can go back to your main topic there. It's really neat. Again, if screens are hard, you can always call, and then someone will do this navigation for you and give you names and numbers that you could follow up with. If that part is daunting, you can request our help. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this and close it down. And I'm going to share again back to the PowerPoint. I just hope we get, oh, okay, great. It went back to where I needed it to be. This is fantastic. Okay, so the next kind of resources in the community is for healthcare. Most likely, a lot of people have come to us, so they don't have a family physician, a general practitioner, or they're looking for other types of specialists. And then we would help them search in their community for that and help them connect to a family physician. A lot of times we'll call around to see who has availability, who has wait lists, and support a client in getting the initial appointment and intake done. I'm finding during COVID at the very beginning, when the world was closing down and no one knew what to expect, everyone was home. It was really hard to connect a member to a physician. Now, a year post, offices seem to have got everything in a rhythm and a pattern, and there's quite a number of them that are accepting new patients right now. So what we've been doing is making the calls and supporting clients and making sure they have access to the technology to be able to attend appointments virtually or on the phone with their physicians. We've also helped some people that have a hard time remembering what they want to ask the doctor. We've helped them with some of their appointments where we've had the physician call us, and then we call the client, or we give the reminders, things like that. So, we've done that as well. I'm just gonna jump back for 2 seconds. There is a resource that is available that we can put in the chats. Actually, if Melissa, if you don't mind just putting a little comment in the chat, there is a a free hot meals program. Melissa's like super good at finding these resources. So if you don't mind putting that in, that would be fabulous. Just a little something. So they're hot meals every Monday and Thursday for people. So if you can do that, that would be great. Back to the healthcare. So a lot of the questions are, how do I find a doctor? Where do I find a therapist? That one's a hard one, but there are resources out there. Social work, psychotherapy, psychology is a paid resource, so it's not funded through OHIP. However, there are places that work on sliding scales, and there are places that offer like 6 to say 9 sessions or 12 sessions through a referral program. So a lot of times there's wait lists for psychotherapy or social work talk therapy. But if that's something that someone needs, we've supported members in looking in their community to see what's available. Okay, so a number of organizations have that, and we can talk about that in a second. We'll show you. One of the places to do a search to find a doctor is actually on the College of Physicians and Surgeons. And this might be a neat place to go to look up in your area. I always do an advanced search. So what it gives is it allows you to do a little bit of a more broad search in specialty in that. You can, and it'll provide a full list of the physicians that are currently practicing in the area in which you live. And sometimes that's important. Sometimes you need to pick, say, a physician or a general practitioner that has access to some of the hospitals. With disability and a lot of people, the members of our community, sometimes their needs are higher and they want to have certain specialties, physicians with specific specialties, so or access to specific hospitals. Okay, so this is where you can look. You can select your town or city. You can also look up if you have a doctor already and you want to know anything about them. You can write in your physician's name and you can see information based on their college credentials, so where their schooling was. I always, when I'm looking for a new doctor, and this is very important, when you're looking for a new doctor in an area, I would do the search. If you find one and you're wondering about them, you do a search and just make sure that they're a member in good standing with the college. I would hate for anyone to search for a new doctor, find one in the area, and then find out that they're not in good standing. Okay, so that's something that you can look up here, and I think it's a little tidbit that that's important. Okay. This is the Toronto Central Health Line. It's another thing that I was talking about earlier. This looks at the LHINs and where again it's just like it's like 211, but it's specific to health as opposed to 211 that'll look at other things like transportation and legal and that. Although they do have some links here. Toronto Central's where we are, but you can look in various areas across the province. Okay, so it's another platform to find information, the local health integrated networks. Okay, again, in the last 5 to 10 years, the province has been working really hard at bringing sources together in big hubs or search engines, which has made it a lot easier for the public to access information. Okay, so that's what that looks like. With health, when I'm looking for a family doctor for a member in the community, I'm just using this one as an example. but I tend to look for community health centers. If you can get into one in your area, it's worth it. Mainly because you have access to the family doctor, but you also have access to a number of services that you wouldn't necessarily be available under OHIP. Okay, and it works this way because it's funded by the government. I also find it's slightly it's support that's, I say, better for a lot of our members with, say, cognitive or memory issues. The appointment times are usually set for like half an hour increments, which is different with billing for family physicians. There's nothing wrong with how family physicians do it in their private practices. It's just the billing is different, and I find with people with disabilities or multiple health concerns generally require a little bit more time to get through an appointment, right? So this is there. They also have, most of them have a counseling service, so it's free. So it's usually a psychotherapist or a social worker that's with the program and with that particular center. So when you see your family doctor, you can request access to that. So that's one way of getting that talk therapy service or counseling services. Some of them have dental programs. Some of them have, like we see here, the chiropodist or dietitian programs. And this helps, if someone has needs support with, say, diabetes, or even changes, like say they were diagnosed as like Crohn's colitis, or has differences in their blood pressure, things like that. These are available. So, and they usually allow a good amount of time because they're not paid per billing. They're paid like a salary, right? Which is how it makes it different. So I encourage people, if you are looking for a physician and you don't have one, take a look at this area of support for a family physician first, and see if you can get on the list. It doesn't mean everyone, like if you have a good physician and you're used to them and they're accessible to you and they're around the corner, stay with the doctor that knows you. But if you are looking for a physician, this is a good option, okay? A lot of the times they have a referral that you have to go through, you fill out. If you need support with that, we can help you do the search and we can help you set that up. These are just different examples of ones that are available. So some are community health centers, some are family health teams, okay? And they're just in the different areas. And when you do a search for Toronto, these are the ones that'll come up. This is what it'll look like. You go to the link, okay? The community, I'm just gonna go back for a second. The community health centers are based on your geographical location. So it is, you have to be within a postal code range of that, within the catchment area, okay? But they are available across the province. And for people who need wraparound supports, that's there. Okay, so the other section, and we touched upon food a bit because I used that as the example search in the 211 site, but I've also put up some other quick links basically for Daily Bread. So if you are going back onto the BIST site and accessing this webinar later, because we do put it up there, you'll see the links and they're there for you. But we put those in and you can see there are also quite a number of food access, like you saw the differing topics. So this is obviously not a be all and end all. But if you require help and support with filling out the forms or referrals, we'd be happy to help. Shelter is a big thing. Some people are, especially during the pandemic, they're finding changes in housing a lot of people are losing their housing, and need to look for where to go. We've noticed a change or differences in how people access shelters, and in some cases for the better. So people aren't 100 people in one building all together. But if you need support with this, for Toronto anyway, they're going through a central intake. Okay, so I've provided the number. If you don't know the number, and numbers are hard to remember, even for myself, 311 is where you would call. You can call 211, they tell you the same thing. But 311 is specific to the shelter system and that. And they do look at where people can go for housing help, out of the cold programs, drop-ins, things like that, okay? Warming centers, the city opens them up when the temperature gets to below a certain point. I think it's below 15 degrees. I can't remember offhand. And then with COVID-19, there are some restrictions, but those numbers are how someone would access it. Okay, so those are shelter. Oh, I might have reversed some of the legal. There's a legal slide in there somewhere, so I think we'll get to it in a second. We put up tax help. So this is something that's the time of year. It's March. Everyone's getting their T5s or T4s or notice the notices to complete their taxes. So I thought it's always the good time to put it up so people have it available. BIST does offer a tax clinic for those with the simple taxes. So those that are on social assistance or just need some basic tax help. Usually if someone has multiple family members in a whole big complicated process, we could look at it, and then if it's something that the volunteers that are doing it can't handle, then they would let you know and ask you to take it somewhere else. CRA, and I'll show you, does have, if you type in free tax clinics, they'll show you, and you can search in your city for what nonprofits or what volunteer organizations are hosting them this year and when they're starting. You can also look to see if you need it for 1 year, for 2 years, or for multiple years. So you have to specify, because some places only do the current and +1, so 2 years worth. It depends on the programs that particular organization or volunteer has. So if they don't have the backdated programs, they can't offer, right? So it also shows you if you need help in a specific language, right? So that's nice too. And then there's also like the do-it-yourself program. So if you need to U-File, like the U-File is one of the common examples that you can use, okay? And we've made a small list of what you would need to get ready. And a lot of it has to do with your T5s and T4s. This year is a little bit different. If you've been collecting the CERB or any of the other COVID-19 relief from the federal level, the paperwork for that should be in or be coming in this week to persons through the mail. So do look out for that if you have been collecting, whether you're a student, whether you were employee, whether you're someone at home collecting any of the COVID benefits, because that paperwork should be out this week. And if you haven't, then it's time to call someone to help you locate it, because you'll need that for your taxes. Okay, where's my little button? Okay, so there's the website. There's the CRA website. This is what it would look like. It's not the easiest website to navigate, but on here anyway, in the purple, because I've clicked this before, it's the Find Your Tax Clinic, and this is what it would look like, right? So you put in Toronto, Ontario, you put in Toronto. and it does show you the differences between if you're looking for current year, current and last, like I said, and then you'd select the language, because that's important. If you're trying to give personal information and they don't speak your language, it's going to be difficult. So this is nice that they do that. Okay. So if you need help, again, trying to locate a resource or set up an appointment or accessing that, let us know and we'll help you sort it out, whether we're doing the search for you, whether we're calling places to see what's open. And see what the criteria are. Sometimes the free tax clinics are for persons on social assistance. Sometimes it's for persons with disability or senior. And the particular program will specify, okay? Another place where you can go is, and depending on whether they're open or not, depending on what zone you are in the province, the certain libraries have opened up their volunteer clinics. Okay, so this is starting as well. This year, most likely everything is virtual, which means you would be on the phone and or on your computer in some sort of setup like a webinar or Zoom or something, or you would be faxing over, emailing over a copy of the documents to the person providing it. Okay, so this creates a level of difficulty for some persons that don't have access to technology. So if you require help in sorting that out, give us a call and we'll see what we can do to navigate that for you and on your behalf. Okay. Legal, there's my legal slide. A lot of times we utilize, we have questions about, say, tenant rights or landlord tenant needs. Sometimes it's family law or assault, things like that, or criminal. And what we do, we're not lawyers, we're not even therapists, so but we do have to help people navigate the system. So we're lucky, BIST is to be supported by a lot of personal injury lawyers, and I mean tonight's program with Oatley Vigmond is doing that. So but if there's other legal supports that someone needs, like in criminal law and such, there are resources out there that you can read through and look at. So these are some of them, okay? CLEO, Community Legal Education Ontario, is one that we go to a lot. They provide PDF resources like booklets. When the world was open and you would walk to or go into a legal aid office, you would see the CLEO books there. So you could physically grab them and take them home with you and go through them. In this world where everything's online, those resources are downloadable. So you can look and see what it is, what your rights are, say a tenant or landlord, as an example. Steps to Justice is another one. So what do you do when something happens? And you can you can create any of your searches and look to see what it is, what the rules or the laws are in the province of Ontario. For those that cannot afford a lawyer for something like criminal or family or landlord tenant, there is Legal Aid Ontario, but then there are some aspects that a legal aid lawyer cannot do based on the type of law. So they would, something to direct someone to is the Pro Bono Ontario. Okay, so there are a few other resources, and we have connected people to them. BIST, if you go on the BIST website, we do offer some of those links to resources. We also have our ABI Justice launch that we did, which is looking at how people can navigate some of the legalese and things to do with, say, the criminal courts and things like that. So we are looking at how do we support clients at BIST with a brain injury or cognitive disorder through the legal process. And what it is offering or helping them find the resources, helping them connect to who they need to. Maybe we're the note taker in a conversation. Maybe we're the person helping them with the follow-ups. But these are some sites that you can go on to if you have a question. Okay. I'm gonna stop share for a second. And I was gonna see, I'm just gonna take people to the BIST website. Thought that might be a good idea. And I'll share this. I'll go back to share screen just to show you what I was talking about. Okay, again, I'm gonna ask for a thumbs up if you can see it. Hopefully. I don't know, Melissa Forrest, can you see the BIST website? Okay, perfect, thank you. So we do have some, I'm just gonna go to the home screen for a second here. There we go, there's the ABI Info Series that you're in tonight and our corporate sponsors there. So thank you, Oatley, Vigmond, PIA Law. And this is where you'd register there. But we do have some of the other, and here we go. This is the page here, the www ABI Justice, right? So this is looking to help people decrease some of the barriers that they have when they're faced with legal issues. Okay, it's a site of further resources, basically. So if you require help or you want information, you can let us know and we can help you walk through. I just wanted people to be aware of this. We also have the financial abuse information, okay, common scams that are there, and printable resources. So I want people to know about this as well. Okay, so if you have a moment at some time and can look at this, it would be great to look through, because then you can find out the information for further resources. Okay. All right. I'll get off this. I'll get off this right now. All right. So back to sharing the PowerPoint. I'm like, I can spend all day on the BIST website, but I won't. Okay, so the next kind of piece, we talked about some of the community access resources. We talked about some of the health access and where you would go if you need to find a doctor or just general supports in the community for health. And we showed you Healthline, the college website, looking at community health centers in your area. The other thing is looking at some of the financial resources. So a lot of the work I did in the last 3 years was connecting people to ODSP. That was the main funded grant that I was working on. So it was persons in Toronto. So I have a list here of some of those resources. I'll touch upon them briefly, but know that if someone requires support or needs more information on this, again, you can call 211. You can give us a call and we can help walk you through that process, okay? So some of the government financial resources are Ontario Works, Ontario Disability Support Program, there's CPP and CPP Disability, there's the Disability Tax Credit, and if you are approved by the federal government for the Disability Tax Credit, then you have access to our DSPs, okay? For those persons that are reaching a specific age of 65, they would transfer over into the Old Age Security Program. And for those that are on social assistance, would have access to the Guaranteed Income Supplement. Okay, so there's certain programs that are age specific. There's certain programs that require meeting a disability criteria. And there's certain programs that are just given. So OAS is when you reach a certain age, you get, okay? So we've helped people navigate these processes. They are like Ontario Works. I'll show you what you would do. ODSP is an application process. CPP and CPP disability is an application process. Same with the disability tax credit, okay? Guaranteed income supplement is when you reach the age of 65, is an application process where you are required to have up-to-date taxes. So again, we help people navigate that system and get the paperwork in, okay? So Ontario Works, they offer a number of supports, but I do want to point out right now the offices are closed and everything is on line or by phone. And if you need it in person, you need to request an appointment. But they're not just open like they used to walk-ins. Okay, so that it's a little bit daunting for some people that they have to call. Okay, and if you go on to the Ontario Ministry website, you can type in Ontario Works offices. That's my little typing symbol when I do that. You can do a search for your city and find out based on your address. And you can see here, it says Social Assistance Office Finder. Based on your address, your postal code, the office number that you would call, okay? Because of COVID, there is a central line, and if you get stuck, kind of have to listen to about 5 minutes worth of messages, but if you get stuck, then you can get a live person and ask them to help you. Or you can call us and we'll figure it out for you. But if you wanted to navigate it on your own, this is the site you would go to, okay? Again, I've taken out the walk-in kind of help, which a lot of people are used to, walking in and saying, hey, I need help, and someone would help them. Now it's on the phone. So if you need help, you have to say, you have to call. Okay. So there's a general line. There's the web link and address to access this. The Social Assistance Finder, I put in BIST's postal code for reference to use. Like, so if you were living in that area, that catchment area of that postal code, this is what would come up. So you would see here that the OW office, that's the number, okay? And then the related ODSP office would be the Willowdale office, okay? That's who you would call, okay? Ontario Disability Support Program, I won't go into too much detail, but because it is a lengthy process, but if people are wondering if what the general supports are, the application process is 3 steps, okay? The first step is calling into Ontario Works or ODSP and requesting the start of an application. What they will do is they will set up an intake call for you, which is to determine if you are financially eligible. So they don't even look at whether you're considered disabled. They don't look at defining your disability or the conditions of your disability yet. They look at whether it's a program that you're financially eligible for. They have a formula. So I know a lot of people, if they've gone online and filled it out, they're still left wondering whether they can or not. I honestly think it's the best idea is to call in and speak to someone, because there's so many different ins and outs based on your family size or what the conditions are, or say even, you know, if something, if funds are allotted to something specific for care, you really do need to speak to someone. And I won't linger on this point, but I will mention it. If you have an open legal claim accident benefit claim, you need to speak to your lawyer. Okay, speak to your legal rep about the ODSP process and what that entails, and they will help you. And then if you require support with the calls, BIST is here. Okay. Once the ODSP office determines that yes, you are financially eligible, they will release a package to you. Okay, you cannot find this package online. The package is related to your specific name, address, and social insurance number. So, a lot of people are like, oh, can I just fill it out online and send it in? No, 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 no. They have to release it to you. Okay. And then there's a time frame. So there is a little bit of a process. The paperwork is daunting, but we've figured out how to help people with that, and we've gotten pretty good at it. So when it does come down to filling it out, that's something that we can help people with. Okay. Again, this is what the site looks like. It's with the ministry. And in the social assistance finder, you can look at where you would need to go. Okay. I pulled up this screenshot again for ODSP. If your postal code is in that area, you would go to the Willowdale office. If you're somewhere else in the province, you put in your postal code and it would show you who to call. Okay. I really want to do like a Ghostbusters joke when I say, who are you going to call? But anyway, it's been bugging me the whole time. Wanted to say it like 4 times already. Anyway, okay. So this is kind of the process. It takes a while, but and during COVID, it's a lot harder to sometimes get the track down the doctor and send the paperwork and collect the paperwork. We've been finding getting the paperwork in to the disability adjudication unit has been the longest part, whereas pre-pandemic, we were fine with the timelines. But the response back from the disability adjudication unit once they get the packages is I have like in all the packages that we've done in the last 3 years, they've been pretty good on target and come back with a decision less than the 90 days that they give. I think of they've been pretty good in that respect. Okay. If things go to tribunal, which the hope is that they don't, and that the package is filled out well enough at the beginning that you don't need that. During COVID, things are a little different. So the timelines are hard to navigate depending on where you are in the province. So this is the guideline. The pandemic's kind of muddled that timeline up for the tribunal. Okay. Because they're not doing it in person, it's virtual. And we've been helping people with some of the virtual appointments, okay, with courts and that, especially with the tribunal. Okay, so there, I've just put this up. These are rights and responsibilities. This, though, you can get online if you wanted to see what you're entitled to. This is all online. You can look at that. And you can look at what the process is. You just can't get the disability determination package from them. Okay. Again, I won't go into detail about this, but this is right from the act there and what the budget is. So it's not a lot of funds that you get. So it really is when they talk about financial eligibility, it's not a lot, but it's there for someone who needs it. Okay. CPP, again, the process, and you can download this off the government website. This is federal as opposed to what we just looked at, which was provincial. So, if you are going through the ODSP process, something people should know is that if you are entitled to the Canadian Pension Plan or the Canadian Pension Plan for Disability, meaning you're under 65 and are accessing it, what your contributions were. If you are approved for CPP disability in the province of Ontario, you do not have to go through the ODSP package process. Okay, they're not going to make you fill out another disability package for that. You call in, you talk to someone, and discuss your financial eligibility. Okay, so to save you a step there, if you already have CPP, just call ODSP and talk to them. Okay, it'll save you months. Okay, and those are just some average monthly amounts. Okay, it's based on contributions. This is to tell you the truth, I didn't look to see if they've updated it this year. Yeah, it usually goes up incrementally, unlike ODSP, which has kind of stayed stagnant. Okay. If you get to a certain age, you have access to old age security and guaranteed income supplement. This one's an easier application to fill out. If things are up to date tax-wise, most people are automatically enrolled in this. However, with any government thing, it doesn't mean you will be enrolled in it. So sometimes you have to check, ask, and this paperwork is on the government website to access. Okay, these are the amounts. These are the incomes. So the cutoff incomes and what you would get. So some are based on single supports, or some are based on your marital status. So if you have 2 persons in your household, common law partner or such, as it's defined by the federal government, these are the amounts. Okay. Another thing to look at, it's quite separate, is the disability tax credit. This allows you to access a few other things. It is a separate process. It doesn't matter if you were defined as disabled with the Ontario ODSP program or the CPP disability program. It is a separate application. It's a federal application. However, and you can go online to do this. I would suggest, though, if you are more than 1 person in your household, so if there's other earners in the household, that you talk to a certified financial planner about this. Okay, just to set it up, because it is involving taxes. Right, so you have to look at what is the best fit and who should collect and things like that. Okay, if you are approved for the disability tax credit, this is why I encourage some people to do it if they are able to, and if they're eligible for it. It's different criteria, again, from CPP, disability, and ODSP. Completely different criteria. But if you are approved for this, you do get access to grants and bonds from the government, which allows you to save money. And for persons that are not working and can't collect RRSPs, the RDSP, the Registered Disability Savings Plan, is an option, right? So there is a first step to get to the second step, and there's some rules, but it allows you to put savings away. And someone who has this and has ODSP, they are allowed to have an RDSP account and still collect their ODSP. So it's a way for someone to save. So I want to make people aware of this. It's another step, another application, but it's there for you. So those are just the bits of information. And like I said, the ODSP doesn't consider it a part of the 40,000 asset limit, which is nice, because people sometimes, with disabilities and with aging, require funds to accommodate accessibility needs. So that's there. Okay, if people have it. Okay, we're coming to, this is the end. And there's still a little bit of time for questions and that, so I'll see. If today was too much, or if things went fast, or there's questions that pop up when you have time to review, or you had a whole bunch of questions before, you can call into the info line. We do have a warm line right now, which one of our students is overseeing, and they can take down the information, and we can try to get the available or look for the available resource or answer the question for you. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and then we can look at some questions that people might have. And maybe Melissa, you can help with that.
Absolutely. While you were talking, I was just kind of answering some of our members' questions as they popped up. But one person, so she just wanted to confirm that because she missed the last one of the slides, so she just wanted to confirm the HealthLIN website, and that was healthline.ca.
Yep, I'll go
Okay.
back to it for a sec. I have to exit my screen. It's hard for me to remember them off the top, but I'll see if I can. Let me see here. So they wanted to know the HealthLIN one, right?
Yeah, they just want to confirm the address.
Okay, so I will put that in the chat if that is something someone wants. And of course, my thing is frozen.
That's okay.
Let me just get it. Okay, is there another question while I'm doing that?
Sure. So somebody has asked, is there any recommended bank for RDSP opening and managing?
Okay, so I'll give a little bit of pointers. Just you're gonna have to decide yourself, obviously. However, if it's something simple, okay, if you're talking about yourself and it's just yourself and there's no other person in your household that's connected with taxes, when you receive your paperwork for the disability tax credit, the paperwork that you receive from the federal government will list on the back a bunch of banks where you can open the DTC with. If you have, I really do recommend, if you have multiple members in your household, if you are looking at funds, or if you have, say, settlement, things like that, that you're speaking to a certified financial planner, okay? Because you're looking at maximizing your funds, okay? I can't tell you what bank to go with. We do work with people, and we have connected persons with to help them with searches for financial planners. You should know that you shouldn't be giving any of these things to set it up. You shouldn't be paying to set up a bank account, right? So just make sure someone's not taking a chunk of money. If you are looking at an investment portfolio, there is and you're talking about a settlement structure, like, you really should talk to someone other than just walking into your general bank, okay? That's the only kind of advice I can give. But on the paperwork for the approval of the disability tax credit is a list of institutions, banking institutions, that you can go to set up the account to receive the grants and the bonds, okay? And we do have a few people that, if you wanted a few names and numbers to talk to and ask just general questions without any charges, that are certified financial planners, we've helped people talk to and discuss. So if that's something you request, you can call the info line, and we can look at that. Okay.
Okay. So the next one is there's some like a multi-step question. So this person is asking, What happens if you've moved and the CRA has your old address and has sent, I'm assuming, your paperwork to the wrong address? She's asking, can you access the tax documents on the CRA website?
As far as I know, you would have to have your the My account set up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's an account that you would have to set up with CRA. Now it depends on what type of. This is a way too broad question that I don't have answers to. So your tax documents, are you talking about if it's coming from an employer or such like that? No, those come from your employer. The federal government doesn't have those on your system, right? If you have paperwork that's been sent to an old address and you haven't forwarded your paperwork, then you're going to have to call the places, so the specific banks or the specific employers or such, or the government itself, to get those documents from. Okay, unless you've already set up your, I forget what it's called, like the My account with CRA, you're not going to have access to those documents. And setting it up is a multi-step system, because they would be sending you out a PIN, and then you'd start the process. They'd mail you out a PIN, so you'd have to make sure your documents and address is correct to receive the PIN, and then you can go on and set it up. So if you're looking for paperwork because it's been mailed to the wrong address, you need to call the specific places that are sending it out and ask them to send to the new address. Okay. Documents with the government they don't make it easy for a reason to access, and it's so that someone can't fraudulently access your paperwork, right? So it's a multi-step process. So you'd have to call the sources that you're getting your tax documents from. Okay, I will try to put in the Healthline site there and see if this works. I'm putting it into the chat, so hopefully you see it. I think it went in.
I'm going to just add it again to the Q&A box, but I did let her know that it was being added to the chat. Someone else has just, I was asking for clarification because I'm not sure where she got the information from, but one of our members says, I was told DTC may impact driver's license and other insurance, and to be careful. So I'm wondering if you know anything about that or have heard anything similar to that, Laura?
No, it depends on the thing with any of these applications is everyone's condition is different. And a physician, I mean, it's very plausible that your driver's license might be affected. If your family physician or the physician that is like licensed to fill out the document, whoever it is filling it out and indicating that your impairment is 90% of the time, there is the possibility that depending on the type of condition you have, it does affect your driving, but that is very specific to your condition, and that's something to discuss with your doctor. If your doctor feels that your condition impairs you to the point of not being able to drive, then that's something that your doctor would indicate, right? Just like anything else, a physician has a duty to report, okay? Because the Ministry of Transportation, as far as I know, and again, I'm not the expert in this. We're just ones that find the resources. So, but we know that the physician has a duty to report, right? And that the driver's license is considered by the ministry a privilege, not a right. So there's this whole thing where they can, if a condition is impaired enough in the eyes of the physician would write in to remove the license. But that is a discussion that maybe you should have with your physician, right? Not knowing the condition and anything like that, and not being a practitioner, right? I know a few people that have the DTC and haven't had their license taken away. I know a few people that had their license medically suspended because of their medical condition, whether they're interrelated or always related. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, conversation to have with the general practitioner, for sure.
Thank you. So one more question from a member.
Mhm.
He says, many of us were attending, this is from back when you were going through some of the slides earlier. He says, many of us were attending 4 to 6 therapy programs per week. That was cut off last March. Where would we go now? Where would we start?
Okay, so when you say, so last year you're in therapy, what I think I need a bit more specific. So are we talking about like physiotherapy? Are we talking about in-person therapy sessions with social work? I'm not too clear. If it's physiotherapy, remember there are rules with that therapists. So say, for example, it's something like physiotherapy. Okay. Remember, all physicians, all therapists are governed by whatever lockdown rules there are. Okay. So some are deemed essential. So people that were coming out of, say, surgery and required the hands-on manipulation, that were still receiving it up to a certain point, whereas other physiotherapists had to stop. So again, I'd have to know more to even be able to answer it. The other thing is in March, if we can, I don't know if we want to think back or go back there and think about it, but I was like, I don't want to know. A lot of things were just shut down. We went into full stay-at-home lockdown order, which really affected a lot of people who were on wait lists for services. Everything was pushed back. People's surgeries were canceled, things like that. So the in-person was everything was stopped. And then organizations were trying at some point to get themselves set up at like work from home or such, and switch their whole, like shift their whole platform from in person to out of person, which doesn't always work for some face to face, right? So that's why I was using the example of physiotherapy.
So that member has asked to
Yeah.
be allowed to talk. So I guess he wants to clarify.
So this is, yeah, we'll see, but I don't, I just want to be mindful of the time.
Yeah.
Sure, we're at the time. So yeah, maybe if it's something that they can maybe call into the info line, and then we can have a further discussion about it. Again, I don't, and if it's something that like individual, I think that's kind of a one-on-one discussion. Again, at BIST, we're looking at helping support people access resources or find resources. We don't always have the reason why things were ended or shut down. And we don't control it either. We ourselves had to shift our in-person stuff to online supports and that. So I hear you. There's so many people that lost a lot of community and social connections. And again, we know that our BIST community and our disability community who doesn't have access to technology or smartphones or computers are losing out big time in accessing. So please feel free to call. Again, we are a nonprofit. There is the warm line. We have a student that's helping support. So if you do call in, and leave a message, we will get back to you. It might take a little bit though, but we'll try our best. Okay.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Laura. It's now past 8 o'clock. So I think we're going to kind of end our session. If there's anything else that anybody would like to talk about as a result of tonight, please feel free to connect with myself at connections@bist.ca. I've left that in the chat box. Or you can connect with someone at BIST by connecting with the warm line. And again, our website is www.bist.ca. And thank you all for attending.
Thanks, everyone. I hope you got something out of it. Have a good night.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, everyone. See you next week.